number 1 in the grand finals. Select from Team Dignitas, Sheth from Team Liquid. Where are they going to be spawning?
Well, we're going to find out right as the game loads up. Big mad respect to you, JP McDaniel. I give you credit for these starting positions that I will even allow you to introduce.
All right, well, we have Dignitas Select spawning at the 12 o'clock position as the yellow Terran. And down here in the south, his opponent from Team Liquid, the newest member of the Team Liquid, it's going to be the blue Zerg, Sheth.
And a lot of people are delighted to see Sheth finally putting a big win on the table, has been getting better and better online, showing better performances in those tournaments. And even with those tournament jitters really affecting his play in this Invitational, he still managed to step his game up, secure some amazing games, and again, that ticket to Blizzcon. Select walling himself in at the front base. And you know what, JP? I'd like to give an extra special shout out to those sponsors, Razer, Intel, and NVIDIA, for helping put this tournament on, for making it possible, because it's these events that really get the chance to bring players from all different regions together for that final big tournament at BlizzCon.
It's always awesome to also just see the new players, like earlier in the tournament we did have Ostoji coming in, who really didn't have any tournament experience before this. Although he might have not done so well in the tournament, he still came in here and performed with some of the best players in North America, and now he's probably going to have a lot of fans because of it. So jumping back into this game, it looks like we are going to be seeing a 15 hatch coming from Sheth. So he did not scout his opponent there over at the 9 o'clock position, and if we go over back into Select space, he is going to be going for a very standard opening, probably going to be getting the reactor onto that racks, but he still can do some very interesting stuff like a tech lab, like opening up Reapers and also expanding off of 1 racks as well.
We see something very interesting in the APM tab where Sheth is actually hardly clicking at this point in time at all. We generally see Sheth online playing as a relatively fast Zerg player, up in the high hundreds, kind of hanging out around maybe 160 to 190, but in an environment like this where your hands get cold, that nervousness sets in, a lot of players respond to this by either playing faster to use up that energy or by trying to play slower because it's unnatural to feel that shakiness in your hands. I actually think it's better personally to try to play faster to expend that energy. Select, of course, is no stranger to clicking furiously, hanging out at 300 APM.
Select's about to reach 100 minerals. Are we going to be seeing a factory? I do believe so. It should be going down right next to this Rax. SCV is in place.
Boom.
And there it is. As Sean makes the sound effect of a factory.
Boom.
Boom.
There's the hatchery now finishing up. The drone transfer coming to the front, but also as a little bit of a precaution, trying to make sure that there is indeed no bunker pressure incoming. The extractor already finishing up early. This will delay that second queen by just a smidge. You can't get the 2 queens and a lot of Zerglings and drones up at the same time and afford this speed, so he is just ever so slightly behind, but it's such a small difference when you've made so many drones early on, already about to hit 19.
We have the reactor onto that Rax of Select, so we will be doing the old swapperoo with the factory and that Rax. The second command center started down. Looks very, very standard for this build out of the Terran player on Team Dignitas. Now, it's actually pretty ironic that at the European Invitational and the Latin American Invitational, Dignitas had players both placing in the top 1 and 2, and Team Liquid had players both placing in the top 1 and 2 over at the European Invitational.
I mean, Liquid needs to hurry up and start getting a Latin American player, so that way they can take top 2 with Dignitas at every event. Just go to teamliquid.net if you're from Latin America to apply.
Make sure to PM Kennegat.
Make sure to PM Kennegat. He will be delighted to hear from you. We also see that there is that tech lab now being placed down on the barracks. And Select is going to be lifting up his barracks, doing the exchange program on his add-ons.
And we have some Hellions coming in here too. The natural spine crawler in place. And they're going to be able to sneak up into the main.
Right up.
Roaches are popping out though. This is gonna be
that was some amazing timing.
Roach Warren is going to be behind the middle line, so these Hellions cannot get in that way. They're right on the edge of the creep, and Select a little bit absent-minded with that Hellion control. He will and now he's
you know, and it's one of those moments where it's so easy for these really good players to tread that line between completely bafflingly confusing and absolutely brilliant. The Hellions walked right up into the main, and your gut instinct wants to go, oh, Sheth, how embarrassing. You know, you want to just berate him for that. Oh, what a shameful play that is for Zerg. And then the roaches pop out and immediately kill off the Hellions with no damage dealt, and you go, oh my god, it was a timing that I'd never thought of. Not getting the roaches out to block the Hellions, but getting the roaches out to trap the Hellions in my own base.
Looks very, very similar to a previous engagement that we saw between these two players. Sheth trying to get the roaches up in there, but the lone Marauder inside of that bunker will defend that attack. And, ooh, actually, we had a tank building as well as the siege tech. It was just canceled and then restarted from Select.
Well, sometimes it's a lot like your modem. If it's not coming out the way you want, you just start it and then reboot it again. So he's going to be doing that with his tank. In StarCraft 2, though, that just means you're going to have a slower tank. We do see those Hellions now trying to just creep around. The roaches staying very active. And Sheth really needs to get some Zerglings out to knock down his own backdoor rocks, to knock down Select's backdoor rocks. And you know what is so great about this moment, JP?
What is that?
Speed has been researched and is almost done.
And also a lair has just been started. Once again, Sheth is just always on top of spreading this creep. But as we saw in previous games between these two players, Select was on top of making sure that creep didn't go too far across the map. He's always taking it out. And a lot of times using drops as a diversion to move his army forward in the center of the map. So we do have a starport started for Select. Will he be doing that same play? We see Sheth taking down the destructible rocks. He will be securing a high yield expansion here pretty soon. Another nice place to, of course, expand to when you have positions like this is that corner pocket expansion, because it is very hard for the Terran to actually get back in there.
I'm kind of amazed to see Sheth only on one gas. He's taking his third base at the gold. He's going to gear up to take it down these destructible rocks soon enough. But still no additional gas geysers. We hear some Hellion roasting on the Zergling at the front. The spotting is going to be cut back a little bit by Sheth. We are seeing Sheth spread out those overlords, preempting that drop play by Select. He lost to that very, very nearly at the start of Game 2, but it did enough damage to just throw him off kilter. So at this point in time, I mean, Select playing incredibly standard and Sheth playing very safe.
If you look on the left side of the map, there's an Overlord in place to go ahead and try to see any drops. There's an Overlord in place down here in the bottom left-hand corner. He knows that these drops are coming. He even has roaches and lings in place. As an Overlord does get taken out at the natural of Select, the tanks are in place. And this is something we saw from Select earlier, using these supply depots to create a wall at his natural.
Very solid play. If you're going to build the depots anyway, build them somewhere useful. It's very easy to just clump them up in the back of your base and be unable to do much. But of course not Select. He's too Gosu ×2 for that. We see the Medivac now moving out across the center, and he's using these Hellions to try to clear a path, so that way he can move these Marines into the best position possible. With that layer up now, we see the tweaking, twitching, allowing him to get that fast speed upgrade. And there's a very nice little cornering. And oh, he got a nice little lineup on those Zerglings, doing way more damage than he really should. Select controls a little bit too good to be a human being.
We have some lings here about to meet some Marines. Two roaches will help out quite a bit, but all he has to do is just lift up. There is one Hellion still in that base. But it looks like Sheth will allow it to live another day. We see Select is going to be able to pick off some Overlords down here in the bottom right-hand corner. That's one, count another one. There is a third one approaching. And he's going to be able to get that one too as he stems underneath it. The lings are going to be there. Try to save, but oh, he saves all of them. Now he's dropping at the natural as a random Hellion comes in as well. Sheth is just all over the place with these drops.
I mean, Select in a great spot, doing a bunch of damage, now pulling back. This is why you need those destructible rocks down. You need that maneuverability at your back flank. At the same time, Sheth also needs to knock down these rocks. I cannot emphasize enough how big that is. Now a fourth base being taken by Sheth. He is unrelenting in his taking of more bases despite all this pressure. The Spire now being produced. More drones popping out. And look at that, up at 67 drones. And a big push by Select is coming in as well.
If you look at the units lost headers, you see yet another drop from Select. 37 units killed with these drops, and also with some Hellions in the beginning, and only 7 for Sheth. But Sheth continues to expand. He continues to boost his economy going into the unit tab. He's got a total of 68 drones, 57 SCVs there for Select, a ton of roaches, and also lings for Sheth. And now it looks like Select is thinking about taking his high yield.
We've seen Select consistently get a faster third command center in many of these games. The Zerglings were not working down those rocks, but an army of Select manages to take it down. That is exactly why Sheth needed to be active early on. Prevent any of that from beginning. We see 8 Mutalisks now popping out. There's some Evo Chambers also being added. Spine Crawlers. Lings and Banelings in the back of the base. They are part of that Control Group 6 hotkey. We are seeing Sheth split up all of his units into different hotkeys so that way he can manage these bases a little bit better.
The Sensor Tower going down for Select. I quite love to see this. It will be right outside of his high yield, and now you can see any counterattacks before they actually get to that base. There are some mutas out on the map. They're going to try their best to fly in here, but here's Select once again moving out and taking these creep tumors in the center of the map. Oh no, he does lose that Sensor Tower to the mutas. He is going to fall back with his Marines though to make sure that his SCVs do not get picked up.
And now Sheth is starting to gather up a big force in the middle. Did he ever get that speed for Roaches? Indeed he did. That means those Roaches are going to be very potent on that creep. They can easily break through those tank lines. Mutalisks are way out of position. Oh, this is such a great time for Select to be pushing forward, but he is stuck on creep right now and is going to begin that very slow, very careful push. He does have the 1-1 upgrades. He has these 2 engineering bays not yet researching, and that right base for Huck has not gotten the chance to start producing drones.
Looking very similar to what we saw on Shakur's Plateau. A ton of Banelings just now popping, but at the same time, Select is just using small forces of Marines and Marauders to move forward. And a random Roach coming in from the right side there. A bunch of Roaches actually being lost here to the infantry units, and now it looks like Sheth is going to be moving forward.
Sheth is going for it, and at the same time, at the natural, losing a lot of Mutalisks, and we see all the Banelings streaming up. In this first game, it looks like Sheth might be able to push back the force, but no. The spread of tanks is too great. Select has plenty of Marines. The Mutalisks at the front get cleaned up, and those Mutas never even got to participate in that battle. More Zerglings and Roaches are out on the field. 7 Roaches are being produced, 8 right now. If there's anything that's going to help keep Sheth alive here, it will be that very high, very fast Roach count.
Well, right now, Sheth is at 132. He was at 200 supplies. A little bit of reduction on those Overlords, but now Sea Tanks have once again reclaimed the middle here. And the Roaches are going to be all that stands in between Select and a win.
Oh, the Banelings. Oh, a
no,
big misclick.
Though.
He picked up 8 of them. We see the arrow of Banelings pointing in the wrong direction. Now they're starting to roll forward. But, oh, the Siege Tanks take it all down. Oh, some nice final hits. And Sheth looking like he might barely clean this up, but no, a drop at the gold, wreaking havoc. More units rallying forward. That gold from Select allowing him to produce tremendous amounts of forces at the same time. All the upgrades are incoming for Select, and Sheth is forced to desperately scrap together some units. There's the good game. Select up 1-0. He is 1 game away from being the first place winner and being $10,000 richer.
If you look at the minimap real quick before they pull away, it's just a stream of units still coming across from Select. That first initial engagement, he had great tank placements there in the center of the map, utilizing the terrain to make sure that his siege tanks would get in a couple of shells before actually being under attack. Great play from Select.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what we saw there on Shakuris. So we're going to be moving on to MLG Metalopolis, a map that doesn't have that wide open center space. So how is this going to play out in the TVZ? Well, maybe Sheth will have something else in store.
And keep in mind, Sheth did win this game previously on Metalopolis. And now as we hop into the next game, we're going to see if Sheth can pull that second win off in a row against Select. Amazingly enough, if you think about that last game that Select played compared to all his others, there was no huge damage that was dealt at the start. I mean, in their original game number 3, it was that first drop from Select came and did massive damage. Or in other games, we've seen the Hellions run in and roast a ton of drones. But here it was just a couple little drops, poking and prodding, and then a gigantic, well-timed push right as Select got his gold base.
Yeah, I feel like Select, he just played more confident that game. He knew kind of what he had to do, what worked well against Sheth in the previous games, and he just did more of that, and it worked out very, very well for him. So we are going to get the players invited into the game here as fast as possible. And, of course, if we do go to a Game 3, the map gnome says we'll be going to Shakuris Plateau.
Shakuris Plateau, a little surprised again to see that. Looks like both the players will